built it. Now deploy it. This is FluxCloud. Push your Git repo or bring your own Docker container. Web apps, APIs, databases, anything you can containerize. Plus WordPress and game servers ready to go. And all of it on a network no one can shut down. No single point of failure. 99.9% uptime. The same server that costs $33 on AWS? Here, it's $1.44. Pay as you go. No contracts, no egress fees. Pay in Flux or card. And nothing's locked in. Your app moves with you whenever you want. Decentralized, censorship resistant, unstoppable. Big Tech's cloud answers to a boardroom. This one answers to no one. FluxCloud, deploy yours.
Enterprises are deploying AI agents in minutes, without risking security, compliance, or trust. With FluxAI, you can manage hundreds of specialized agents under one secure platform, complete with strict access controls, full admin visibility, and tailored customization for your organization's needs. Connect, process, deliver. Plug into your existing systems, process data in real time with advanced language models, and deliver powerful outputs, from instant proposals to predictive insights and personalized responses, all without writing a single line of code. Flux AI agents cut hours of manual work into seconds. Your 24/7 digital workforce, built for scale, precision, and performance. Flux AI, scale smarter, work faster.
We are live. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping on today. I appreciate you. A little bit of housekeeping at the beginning of the call. If you could do me a solid and just do a retweet and a like on X, especially because we get good viewers on X. So my video is a little choppy. I don't know why, but I'm gonna go with it. Hold on, let me check my settings real quick. Make sure I'm not on. That's why. I was high def. How about now? That's good. All right, cool. Hey, welcome everybody to the Flux AMA. We're going to go back to our grassroots today, and we haven't done this in a long time, and I think it needs to be done. And that's just more of a community update / AMA. We don't have any slides this time, so which is nice because normally we have a shit ton of slides to go with this. Someone said, welcome back. I never went anywhere. I've been here the whole time, man. Like, you know, this is just what we're dealing with. One of the first things I wanted to talk about getting going is, you know, the state of Flux. Flux is in great shape. Like, and I'm not just saying this, like, you know, we've taken precautions on our side to make sure that we, you know, protect the project. Hey, factually, times are tough all over. I mean, you look at the market, everybody's getting their asses kicked. Iran's in, Iran's out, Iran's in, Iran's out, Clarity's in, Clarity's out. All these components that really lead to a lot of nebulous thought process around the total investment environment, and definitely impacts, without a doubt, your disruptive technology markets as well, because people are scared in times of fear to invest in any type of company that would be an upstart or could have a challenge to end up going away. And we've seen a lot of good projects die here within the past 1 year. Projects that I loved, that I personally held, have died, and it's a shame. You have projects like Cadena. The Cadena team bailed out on all their community. We were able to step in and help them out to have the community pick it up, and they've been running rock solid. I'm really pleased with how they've ended up moving it forward and being so community oriented. And with that being said, we're going to go back to that as well. There's just no way around it. We believe that for us to be successful, we've spent the past 6 months really doing a deep dive and internal evaluation of how we're successful moving forward. And it's getting back to brass tacks. The way it was at the beginning is the way it will be now. We'll start moving more community-based support models. You'll see a lot less involvement from a company like Influx. You're going to see, the core team is rock solid. They're going nowhere. We are in the process of leaving the United Kingdom. We already have the U.S. established, so there'll be some transitional pieces there as we go through that. But we're not sitting with our hands under our ass. We're actually going out there and doing the stuff that you have to have done in an upcycle. A lot of people panic. This might be your first bear market. Seeing Flux at 4.5 cents is enough to give anybody a major headache, or in the U.S. case, major diarrhea. I think that's where that massive U.S. diarrhea is coming from, the flux of price. It's kind of shit. But yeah, I mean, bottom line is we really need to concentrate on the core pieces. And with that, you may see particular facets of the project given more attention than others. And that's just human nature. If you guys could do me a rock solid now too as well, please start posting up your AMA questions. Betty is on the call as well, and she'll be pinning those for us as we go so that we can start into the AMA once I get off my soapbox. So long story short is I feel like we're in the best position. I literally just got off a call with Tadeusz and Volter, and, we were chatting a little bit about, the future. And we feel like we're in the catbird seat. Disruptive technology is just starting to hit different, facets. AI is starting to kind of hollow out some of the white collar worker jobs. They're going to need more AI components that, working with companies that, 97% of the people I deal with on a technology basis have zero clue how they're going to apply AI to their business models. So that means we're super early, and which is a great feeling. So, I'm cool with that. The team is working hard to keep things going and developing. We're currently working on our new roadmap. That will be out, I'm going to say, probably within the next 2 weeks. But I'll pull the curtain back and tell you there'll be a lot of focus on Flux OS, a lot of focus on FluxAI. Flux Edge, somebody's going to ask a question later about Flux Edge. Flux Edge still exists. It's there. It isn't one of the products we're going to be pushing actively moving into the next 6 months to a year. Now, that can change dramatically depending on how things go and stuff like that. So if we see a sudden demand or an uptick or spike, we may have to divert some resources over. So the next question that most people have is like, okay, well, you have less people. How are you doing it? And that is AI. We've moved a lot of our operations over to AI. Even Betty and marketing and that team, what they do, it's predominantly AI now. Internally, we were able to replace a lot of different positions with, AI pieces, and we consolidated roles. There was people that, we liked having them with the project, but it was time to maybe make some changes there. And we knew the writing was on the wall. If we didn't make some pretty significant changes quickly, we'd be in a Cadena situation, and we're never walking away from this project. I'm going to go to the grave with a Flux sticker on my casket. This is my baby. This is my forever project. This is my legacy project for me. Do I like working like I do? No. Do I have to work like I do? No. But I do it because I believe in what we're doing. And I see the people around me who believe that as well. We've lost our way in crypto. And this is a perfect example of why we lost our way. We forgot about the cypherpunk piece of it. We forgot about, you see people online predominantly all they bitch about is price. We lost the narrative, and it's our job to get that narrative back. And myself, Tadeusz, Volter, Jeremy, all cypherpunks at heart. And we believe the best way to get us back to that is to move more back toward our foundational model. That's not a bad thing. That's actually, I'm more excited now than I think I've been in the past 3 years because I feel like we're heading in a different direction, and I like that. I think you have to be able to be successful. You have to be able to pivot and move where, the demand is. Right now, the demand is FluxOS and FluxAI. There are predominant pieces. Now, that doesn't change Zelcore, SSP, or any of those other components. But we may put less work into something like a Flux Edge, and we may put more work into something like a FluxOS. You guys aren't blind. You see the updates. You know what we're doing. I don't think a day goes by that we don't release something. That there is no intention of that to ever change. All of the guys on this are committed long term. They want to be here. They want to be part of the project. They want to see us be successful. And we want to pass all those shit coins out there in this world that do nothing, because Flux does a lot. And, it's a rarity in this. So long story short, the state of the union with Flux is strong. We're not going anywhere. Have we been a little bit more low key as we're going through this process? Absolutely. You gotta kind of back it down a little bit in your bear markets. But make no mistake, bear markets are what defines a project. If you can navigate a bear market, so Flux going from $3.45 to 4 cents, and still be able to produce the products that you have intended to, you're doing something right. And we are. Is it painful? Fuck yes. I have a lot of friends that I've had to tell them we'll have to come visit them again in the future? Yes. So it's been a very personal thing for this core team. And I think I speak for all of them when I say our dedication is true. We know this is going to be successful long term. We know we're probably a little early for what we're doing, but talking to the customer base that we have and the folks that we're working on developing with, I don't think we're that too far ahead. I think we're right there where we need to be. So you'll see some pretty cool shit coming down the pike around that as well. I'm not saying that there may be another XDAO proposal coming out specifically around how we handle parts of the project in the future. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. So that's a very nebulous thing I'm throwing out there. But you guys will be the curators of whatever we end up doing, because as a community network project, you guys are the ones that have the final vote anyway. So good stuff. So with that being said, we're real happy with where we're at. Is it a little bit uncomfortable right now? Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Flux at $1 would be really fucking nice right now. But I'm confident that we'll be back there, and I'm confident this team will continue to keep doing the things they need to do. So rest assured, we are going nowhere. We're going to still be as visible as we have been. The past 3 months, we've been pretty much sequestered to meetings, figuring out where we want to go, what we want to do, so on and so forth. And we're going to be able to showcase that in upcoming AMA with our roadmap. And I totally believe you guys will not be disappointed. There's a lot of good things coming down the pike, especially with FluxOS and some of the things we're doing there. If you don't believe me, just look at the Get launch. That's been a very successful piece for us. People, basically uploading from Get and going straight to Flux. Big success there, and still work to be done there as well. So, okay, that's just me off the soapbox. Everything I feel is right exactly where we need to be right now, this very day. And I think most people will be pleased with the outcomes coming up here in the next few months. I also want to speak directly to, recently, within the past week and a half, we have discovered that somebody is fucking with the nodes. I give you credit, creative way to do it, but we will ban you and we will ban your IPs and you will never be on this network again. I can guarantee you that. We will handle it with a very swift punishment. So if you're thinking you're going to fuck with the network, you're not going to do it, and we're going to find it. And when we do, we're going to make sure that you aren't part of this network in the future. So get your shit together if you're one of those folks that are, we used to do it when we mined. We called it burst mining. It was very well known. I had, 2,000 or 3,000 GPUs. I would go to a piping hot shitcoin. I would burst mine the piss out of it for, a month, and then I'd move on to whatever the next thing was. They're kind of doing the same thing to us, which I'm glad we saw it. And I'm glad that, we have all of our pieces of monitoring the network work the way they're supposed to work because we knew it right away that it was happening. But if you're one of those people and you're over provisioned, we're coming for you. Just so you're aware of it. And we will ban you from the network and you will never fucking participate with us again. Guaranteed. And our job is to protect our node operators and our community. And you guys are being dicks. So stop. All right. With that, let's go to the AMA. We have a few that have already popped up. Betty, if you want to start putting the ones in there from the Discord, I'll go ahead and pin them as well. What are the priorities for H2 2026? Really, we want to finalize getting SSP locked down. Today has a very good product with SSP. We have a bunch of FluxCloud stuff that we need to work on as well. There may be some eventual unification of FluxCloud and FluxEdge so that we have one product to support instead of two. That'll probably be in Q4 of this year, maybe Q1 of next year. So what we're going to try to do is consolidate some of the shit that we're working on so it's easier for us to take care of it. And policies and procedures, internal policies and procedures. If we're going to generate, a code in AI, what are the procedures for code verification? We don't want to see Flux run into the same situation as other players who, they get rid of 25% of their staff and the next thing they know, they have a major issue with their code. We're not doing that. Today, I just won't let that happen. None of us will let that happen. So there has to be a human process involved in that. So we've been working around those pieces as well, how we can, trust but verify, so on and so forth. So those are all big pieces that we're working on this year. Okay. What are the results of H1 for Flux in terms of FluxCloud? Specifically looking for some metrics and data. Adoption, revenue percentage up or down, more or less apps, resources, utilization up or down. Best thing I can share with you on that is the fact that we've continued to beat our month over month for the past 6 months. So let me pull up. I might have the statistics on here that I can share. See, they don't let me in this stuff very often because I screw it up. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can. Let me see if I can screenshot this. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second. I want to make sure I answer this correctly. Hang tight. I think this is worth you guys seeing because this will tell you why we're feeling so good about where we're at. Okay, Betty, how do I get a picture up here? Just how do I get a file up? No, that ain't it. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? Image file. So everything we do it in terms of metrics. We make sure that we cover most of our stuff. This goes back to August of 2022 in terms of deployments. As you guys can see, these numbers aren't necessarily telling completely because you'll have monthly deployments, you'll have yearly deployments. So some of these months will actually be a yearly deployment that will actually then, it would roll into the future months, but we basically take it into account when it happens. So, you can see there, and I want to say that's November 2025 and June of 2026. There's a lot of multi deployments in that as well. So, I mean, this is all of the OS side. This doesn't include any of the other pieces as well, but you can see the general trend. It's headed in the right direction. I would say we're beating our month over month. If you take the one-time deployments for a year and you equalize them across the spread, you're going to see this more close to static up top. It almost just kind of runs like this. So it, jumped like this, and then it's just kind of ran like this across the top. So, I feel pretty good with where we're at. This adoption seems to be ticking up. Revenue seems to be ticking up. Enough that we can start doing victory laps? No. But the difference is this. If you're seeing this chart, okay, and you're saying, okay, well, this looks okay, impressive, but, this from a price standpoint, how does that work? And, the thing that we have to keep in mind is Flux is 4 cents, and we're still doing this. If you take 165,000 Flux at $3, the network's making a shit ton of money. So these are directly impacted and related to, you go back to when we were, closer to, $2 or so in the August area, less deployments. And we're meeting those metrics and beating those metrics with Flux of 4 cents, which is pretty fucking impressive in my book. Okay, so hopefully that answered a little question. What I'll do is I'll work on putting some more strategic pieces together. We have built there's a couple communities that have built monitoring apps. I suggest asking around to find out which one is the best. I've seen probably no less than 4 of them, and there's another one coming up the pipe that could be interesting as well. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Does the current situation with Coin Metro have impact on Flux at all, and given the number of nodes that run by Coin Metro? Also, your personal view on Coin Metro, if you have one. They're in the same boat that everybody is. They have to make changes. So I like Kevin. He's a good guy. I don't support any one particular exchange because I find exchanges very icky. But if I had to deal with anybody, I'd want to deal with Kevin because he's very transparent, very. So I think what you're seeing is him trying to be completely transparent with you guys, and I got to give him credit. Now, as far as how it would affect us, it really doesn't. I'll pull the curtain back a little bit for you guys, but at one particular point in time, we were taking care of the nodes for them. And they have a provider that takes care of them now. There's no intention for them to leave and go do anything else. So I think, treat all exchanges like a public bathroom. Get in, don't touch a fucking thing, do your business and get out. Make sure you wash your hands. But, public restroom style, you know what I mean? Like you get in there, you do your thing, and you move on very quickly. So I would suggest moving to Titan personally, because Titan continues to keep growing quite nicely. We're adjusting it so that we can keep ahead of it. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but, VPS costs has went up fucking exponentially, which bodes well for us too in the long run. We're seeing a lot more of higher dollar deployments. I had one come in today. Somebody deployed like $650 worth of, deployments for a year. Those high, that doesn't sound like a bunch, 650, but when you're selling a server for like $4, that's a pretty good fucking haul. So, yeah, I'm real super pleased with where all of that is. At Coin Metro, I wish them well. I wish Kevin well. I hope everything ends up being okay in the long run. We're all feeling pain right now, and he's doing his business trying to handle that. All right, let me get to the next one. Okay, that we already did that one. Hide. Does the current situation? Okay, no, we did that one. Sorry, guys. I'm a noob here. Is there any plan to get Flux back in a solid position? Any new directions or opportunities being explored? Any plans for Flux to create its own LLM? I feel like Flux is in a solid position now as it is. If you're talking about price, we don't control that. If you're talking about the technological side of it, I think we're right where we need to be and then some. As far as the LLM goes, we are working on developing our own LLM. It has been being experimented with. We're going to use our GPUs on Edge to be able to train that LLM. And it's kind of a side project we're working on right now because we need it for something else. A customer that's moving on to FluxAI, and we need to put it specifically an LLM together for our own application. So yes. Is it going to be the next Grok? No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be very specific and very targeted for particular areas, if that makes sense. We're not going to try to compete with OpenAI or ChatGPT or Grok or Bard or whatever those. We're not going to do that. There's just no sense in doing that. And we would just be another LLM out there trying to, bang our chest. I think what you will see is more combined effort. I think you could see Grok end up in our LLMs. I think you could see, all these different LLMs end up in Flux AI. But the difference between Flux AI and every other AI product is we don't garner your data, which is important for businesses. And by the way, I said 98% of businesses don't know what to do with AI. Most of it is because of their fear for, data structure and data privacy. So, we have to put those concerns at ease for those customers. And that means we probably look a little different than, say a Grok or a ChatGPT. Okay. What happened to FluxCore, FluxEdge? Is it an influx or community project? Any plans to compete with Vast AI or maybe collaborate with them? I don't know if we would collaborate with them. I mentioned earlier that, probably Edge is going to be kind of our, for all lack of a better term, our bastard project for a bit. It's going to sit on the back burner and we're going to work on it when we have time and time allows. We have to start picking and choosing what we work on. We do have a very broad portfolio with this project. We've got FluxOS, FluxCore, FluxEdge, Zelcore, SSP. The list goes on. Flux Drive, the list goes on and on. We have to pick the ones that we need to focus on for the next 6 months. And you'll see that in our roadmap when we bring it out. As far as collaborating with Vast AI, I had multiple conversations with those guys. I think you could definitely see a lot of these big providers start working together for a common marketplace. So, we've done that a little bit with Greg Azori and the Akash team by bringing some of their rentals over to Flux. And, I think that's a cool way for projects to work together. I really don't believe that we have competition in this space as of yet. We have opportunities. So, if you see a project like, an Akash, I talk to Greg rather regular. What are you doing and how are you doing it? And this is what we're doing. I think there's room for all of us to grow and succeed. And, I think there's a lot of opportunities just like that. Flux has strong technology, but many successful crypto projects also invest heavily in marketing and accessibility. What is your strategy to make Flux attractive also to regular investors? I'm a bit of a redneck, and we have a saying in Pennsylvania, it's like pissing in the wind. When you're in a bear market, trying to market in a bear market is truly like pissing in the wind. It's taking good money and throwing it away, essentially. Getting in front of people in a bear market is a challenge, but I think we do very well with our marketing and PR as it is right now. We've started to transition to more AI-based components. So very specific, we created a project called Brimley, which essentially is our marketing team now. And it works freaking good. It's lead generation. It also does crawling. So it'll crawl the social media, look for opportunities for us to respond to people. You know, we had a guy the other day that was like, I'm so fucking tired of AWS, yada, yada, yada. Brimley was able to grab them and bring them back to me. And I said, hey, dude, why don't you deploy for a month on Flux for free? I gave him the month for free and he stayed. And he's going to be bringing a shit ton more of his stuff over because he can't believe how good it is and how cheap it is. So word of mouth is a big deal too. And by the way, this guy is like the PM for a major tech company, Fortune 500. So by him getting involved in that and starting to like lay that groundwork, I think it could be really cool for us in the long run. But we're not putting a ton of resources in marketing at this particular point in time. We really honestly, marketing isn't a solution. The people that scream for marketing the loudest are the ones that want the price to go up immediately. And I get it. We're all in pain right now. But you cannot force a market to do what you want it to do. It just won't work like that. And when people start to pull back a little bit from the market, your job is to gauge that and pull back appropriately. Otherwise, you'll end up being fucking broke, and people know your product because they saw it one time and it went bankrupt. We don't want that. We want to be successful. Now, we are doing a lot of stuff too. I'm doing some stuff on the side around the government and it's some adoption pieces for DPIN, so on and so forth. So I'm hoping that word of mouth, especially when it starts to roll through DC and other areas, that'll continue to keep growing. And I know other folks are doing that as well. Greg does that, and the CEO for Filecoin, and so on and so forth. So those are all good things. Oh yeah, that's the truth too. What is the single biggest milestone you believe could change how the market values Flux over the next 12 to 24 months? If we get to release our one customer, that's all I'm fucking asking. We have one customer that, I think changes the game for all of us. So, bottom line is Fortune 500 companies, they don't move like we move. We move in days, they move in weeks and months and years. So, I think good exposure from like a product, a high hitting product. And I've said this from the beginning of the project, there's two ways for Flux adoption: attrition, which means we just naturally keep chipping it away at it till we find the opportunity. And I think we have found it. And the second one is necessity. Something happens that, really drives companies to a DPIN environment, and that necessity was the fact that Amazon got shit mixed for like 3 weeks in a row, and customers that we had been talking to for a year and a half or 2 years all of a sudden came rolling into my email. So before it was a novelty, now it's a necessity, so they have to understand exactly what that is. So I think exposure, Clarity Act being finalized, US-based company focus. There's also going to be a sandbox created specifically around developers. This is the reason Influx is leaving the UK and headed to the US, or we're in the US already. But, bottom line is Flux was kind of born in the US a little bit. So, that's where we need to be long term. So I think there's a ton of stuff coming down the pike that's going to really change how Flux is viewed. But I've said it from the beginning: if you give us one customer that provides the highlight of what Flux can really do, others will pay attention and are paying attention. So that's all good stuff. Where do you see Flux in 3 to 5 years, and what does success look like from the team's perspective? 3 to 5 years. That's like 5,000 years in like the normal world. 3 to 5 years, because crypto changes daily, and you have to pivot monthly, and you have to readjust biannually. I feel like in 3 to 5 years, I think we have several Fortune 500 companies. I think you see us integrated in many cloud providers as a resale service. So, I feel a day you'll go to OVH and you'll be able to deploy directly to Flux right out of OVH and load balance between the two platforms, not just OVH, but other major providers as well. I think we become really utilitarian. Like it's almost like a Linux scenario where people are like, if you want a good price structure with rock solid security and ability and full encryption, Flux is just a natural migrative tool. Do I see everybody moving in one day? No. I mean, nobody moves their entire network. And as a matter of fact, I've told our customers don't do that. Do a load balance 50-50. We see a lot of folks that are using it for game launches now. They'll basically acquire compute resources. We saw this with Enshroud when Enshroud launched. I think it was Enshroud. Their launch was going rough. We deployed a shit ton of Dockers, and we were able to help bridge that gap for them. So I think you're going to see that more. Gaming is going to be a big piece for Flux. I'm just saying moving forward. Gaming is in this weird limbo right now where it's really starting to change. And we're seeing it happen behind the scenes. There's a reason why we've been dumping all these games on Flux. There's a reason why is we want to test that infrastructure and make sure it meets every criteria and every need for major game providers to be able to deploy directly to Flux. I see we could have almost like a Steam competitive piece. Right now, we're working on the games and all of the SEO that comes with them. And that takes a little bit of time to get that SEO piece up and optimized. But then I think you're going to see an aggregated push back to a centralized portal, much like Steam. That's a little bit of a leak. That's a project I'm working sidebar on myself with a couple folks. I think you could definitely see Vulture's been doing yeoman's work by getting the games out like he has been. And I think that could get interesting in the long run. I from a community standpoint, in 3 to 5 years, is Dan going to be here? I'll be here, but not at this capacity. I'll never leave this project. And as I said at the beginning of the project, I'll have the Flux logo on my coffin, and I will be. But with anything, technology changes, and I realize this. And 50-some-year-old Dan is not as attuned to it as somebody like 30-year-old Trunk. Or 30-year-old Jeremy, or this is a young people's game, so I'll be here. On what capacity I'll be here, I have no idea. I would like to see the community more involved in the project and more community members step up. Foundation will be established at that particular point in time. I think as I probably get ready to sunset, like, I wouldn't say like normal operations, but I'll probably work less. I have little grandkids now and so on and so forth. So, I'm going to have to eventually get to a point where, 10, 12 hours a day is not going to be realistic. So, community's back in charge. We'll have, it'll be less developed around one person and more developed. I don't want to be the face of Flux. I just don't. I want the community to be the face of Flux. And, we've had a necessary evil, and that is for us to get to a point where we could have that ability. And I think we're going to be close. I'm not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. And even if I did step back in hours, I wouldn't step back in responsibility. Like, this is where I need to be, where this team needs to be. So I feel like we're in a much better situation in 3 years. What competitive advantage do you believe Flux has that the market still hasn't fully recognized? All of it. Every fucking part of it. Every single thing of it. They haven't recognized it yet. Flux is by far the most developed and mature ecosystem in all of blockchain. And I'll even take it a step better. It's better developed than the majority of things in legacy tech. The problem is people got greedy. Instead of going to a project where you wanted to park and be a part of the community and be participatory and help, now they want to chase. For a while they chased meme coins, and you got retail fatigue. People just got the fucking shits of buying a meme coin, and 3 days later, it's worth nothing. And we destroyed a lot of our new adoption by allowing this shit to happen. You know, and I say allowing, we are all vocal voices of this community and blockchain community, not Flux. I shouldn't be the only one that's out there screaming shit needs to get back to basics, right? You are seeing projects like Zcash and other projects that have acknowledged they need to kind of get back to basics as well. That the fact they had a major breach on one of their pools, but that's besides the point. So I believe that our entire product as it sits right now is competitive against anything out there. It's just being able to showcase it, and that's what we're going to work on. If you could change one thing about the crypto community currently perceives Flux, what would it be and why? I don't know that I'd change anything. And I'll tell you why, because the people that are here on this with 200 plus, views watching us, they are the community. I would say I wish that they could understand the utility of it more. And I spend more time in this position telling people about what Flux does and showing them than anything else. And we want to make sure that we're doing that on a different level. And part of the reason why we came up with Brimley is instead of waiting for people to come to us, we're going to those people. And it's been very successful. Oh, thank you very much. I hope you're always healthy, Mr. Daniel Keller. Thank you, buddy. I'd love to see SFTP access or standard for all Dockers running, so you can FTP in and alter your files if possible to set up, or at least an option to add it. Yeah, I can bring that up to Trunk. Betty, mark that one so that we send that to Volter. Actually, Volter is going to be the one that we're going to talk to about that. But that makes total sense to me. I'm not sure I knew that we didn't have that ability. So yeah, I think that's something we could definitely look at. Are there any plans to integrate Flux heads like Akash did with Akash L2 Open Router? There hasn't been any plans, but that's a good idea. Betty, mark that one down too, please. That's a good one. I'll get back to you on that next AMA. Any news on progressive node rewards? Yeah, we have kind of finalized the entire process the way we want to handle it. When we institute PRN or PNR, God, why did I say PNR? I don't know. PNR, we're going to XDAO it. So you're going to know when it's happening and how it's going to happen. There's going to be an allocation specifically to node operators for, we call it flex time. Essentially, if you get tapped at a higher rate, you're getting paid at a higher rate. So it's almost, if you progressive node reward kind of works the exact opposite way a difficulty models and works in mining. If you're familiar with mining, as more miners come online and more hash power is added, the difficulty goes down. So the reward can go down. Well, the rewards stay the same with block rewards, but the more people you have to pay out, the less you're going to get. Progressive node rewards acts the exact opposite. As more demand comes in, payouts increase. So it actually works the exact opposite way. It pushes it this way. As demand starts to wane, that price structure comes back down again. So it's an entire algorithm that has to be built around how we deploy that. Do I think we'll see progressive node rewards this year? I would like to say that. I'd like to see that in Q4. We'll know more when the roadmap's complete, but I definitely think it's a priority. Volter came up with a really good plan for institution. We'll have to write the XDAO, get the community approval, and then we'll institute. Hopefully that answered your question. When legacy node ban shut down? Now. I want them down now. Now. I just told Volter about this the other day. Too fucking long. So we're going to start sending warnings out. I think what we're going to do is set a date. And if you're legacy node is still a legacy node, you're coming offline. So, we hate to do it that way, but sometimes, in IT, this is what we used to do. Like when I was working in IT very young, if we had a computer on the 5th floor, right? And we needed to find that network line and it wasn't labeled correctly, we just unplug and wait for a phone call. Kind of like that. You know what I mean? We've got to ban them. And sometimes it's not because people are doing it maliciously. They just don't, they're just not fucking doing it. That's what it comes down to. They just don't pay attention to it. If you shut their node down, though, they're going to pay attention to it real quick. So yeah, within the next couple of weeks, I would think. When will the cheaters be banned from the network? Like now? Patches are already out. I mean, we kind of warned everybody it was coming. So, whether we perma-ban them or whether we just kick them off the network and let them rejoin, I err on the side of perma-banning. If you're fucking around, you're going to find out. So we'll see if I win that argument. The entire reason to separate you from your BTC and Solid. Amen. What's going on with the Flux Foundation and what are the goals for the next 6 to 12 months? Foundation has been kind of in limbo ever since the market's been the way that it is. It's still there. We established a foundation in Texas. Davey has helped us out, with some pieces to get the fundamental groundwork. We have some board members that we have vetted. We just don't have the time right now. I will mention that, part of me kind of shifting my job responsibilities in the future is to shift some of them to the foundation. So I would like to lead the foundation eventually. I think that's been my goal from the beginning of this project, is to get out there and really do what I love to do, and that's work with the community. I miss that a lot. All right. I fuck around and find out. That's right. That is right. All right. I think that's all the questions I have. Let me go back here. Any other questions? Pop them up, guys. Otherwise, we're going to end up wrapping this thing up early. So, because you don't want to hear me go on another rant. Let me check Discord too. I try to buzz back over here to see if somebody inadvertently put something in there. No, I don't see anything else. All right, just a couple last minute items as well. We'll have some pretty cool stuff coming out for the community. We're going to get our Parker game going again. I figure while we're working through these downtimes, it's good for us to really work on community motivation and build the community out. We are going to release a this is kind of foundational, so it kind of goes back to foundational, but we're going to move more toward rewards for particular parts of the project. We'll be posting those in bounties. We don't have a bounty. Well, we had a bounty channel, but we don't anymore, but we're going back to it. So say Dan has something he needs to get done. I can post it to the community and say, hey, you want to make 25,000 Flux? I need this done. And people will be able to take that work and run with it. So go back to the old days, mining with your mind. That's how you do it. And, people have built, millions in a legacy by doing just that. Vitalik Buterin, many don't know this. The first time I ever met Vitalik was he was writing for the Bitcoin magazine, and they were paying him in Bitcoin. This is before Ethereum even was a thing. So he mined with his mind, and probably one of the greatest minds out there in terms of blockchain. So that's pretty sweet. Will there be any referral codes or links for community? Yes, and we are going to work on profit share as well for the community. So say TechTree goes out and gets a customer that brings in 30 servers, he's going to get 20% of that revenue coming to him. And the way you'll be able to do that is when people deploy their application on Flux, they'll put a code in there and it'll tie to you as a user. So maybe it's, you put the code at techtree007, that goes in the code, and we know that those rigs came from you, and then you will be rewarded for that. Will be rewarded if we bring a big customer also. Yep. The ultimate goal is to turn you guys into salespeople. I mean, all of you work in some level of technology, even if you don't work directly in it, people that do. And I think the best way to represent the community is to get the community trained up to the point where they become our sales force as well. That's one of the things that I will be working on personally, is how does that work? So we've tried different things. Nothing has really hit the sweet spot yet, but we did the Hitman group. We've done Flux Family. We've done all these pieces. I think we bring back bounties and referral codes and let you guys go, make some money. Let's hypothetically say you bring in a really big customer. That's a big chunk of change for whoever does it. So I think in the end, I think it works well that way. And word of mouth is huge. And honestly, word of mouth is what's going to make us go to the next level. No amount of commercials, no amount of anything. I do want to share one thing cool though, because people are asking how are people using Flux, like the platform? So many of you know that Flux actually has a racing team. I pay for it and sponsor it myself. We roll our racing logo on it. We do 410 sprint cars and the East Coast. So we go up and down the East Coast and we race. I have made more headway at a racetrack talking to people than sometimes I do with pushing emails. And I'm just a regular guy. Now, I know a little bit more about the project than anybody else, but one of the things is I noticed when I was going to these races, they have a pay-per-view scenario. So you can go in and you can select pay-per-view, and then you can buy the race. And let's say it's $28 a race. Well, it sucked, and it sucked bad. It didn't work. It'd kick you off. There was UI issues. It was not good. The whole product was not good. I'm in a racetrack one day. The guy that owns the entire league comes up. We start talking about Flux. And I can tell you, as of today, they've deployed their entire infrastructure on top of Flux. Websites, backends, live stream, the whole 9 yards comes back to Flux. There'll be a press release about it coming up. That was a perfect example of being at the right place at the right time and knowing your shit. And what came out of it was a very beneficial customer, probably our biggest customer to this point. So, we're going to expand that over to MX, motocross. You could definitely see it in, stock car racing. You could, I don't know if you'd maybe see it in the early versions of F1, but they have the F1 is set up pretty damn good with their TV coverage. So this is going to be geared more toward probably the folks that need coverage and don't have millions and millions and millions of dollars to do it. So, we saved them money. We brought more asses to the seats. We revamped everything. And in the end, it was unbelievably successful. And those are the kind of things that are happening that we want to share with you as we grow. That's one of the things I wish I could have told 2 weeks ago, but we weren't in this position to share that. So press release will come out specifically about what that partnership looks like. We're working with companies at a very early stage, not only to support them from a technology standpoint, but take a percentage of their business revenue model. Now, think about this. This is thinking outside the box. This is something I thought about 2 years ago. Let's hypothetically say we take this sprint car series, for instance. We get 5, 10, 15, 20% of their total profits. And we help them with deployment on the back end. We help maintain and keep that up. And that all becomes part of our progressive node reward structure. So, as we get more platforms that develop, it's less risk for them for capital outlay and more ability for us to take percentage ownership. Another one that's, for instance, is Grid. Grid is a product that helps deploy Flux and Akash. I actually personally invested in that platform and took a fairly large size of the raise because I believed in the project. So, and you could definitely see us target projects like that, and even in our incubation model, like going back to the Flux Lab, we're bringing that back too. Is looking for new projects that we can help, get them stood up. Now, labs worked amazing, and we're definitely going to revisit it again. And I'll tell you why. That East Coast sprint car, it's called the Posse, PA Posse. You can go check the website out. It's paposse.tv. You'll notice at the bottom of the website, it'll say powered by Flux. So we basically are utilizing that. We're also going to use a FluxAI model for real-time logistics and stats on the races, so we can feed APIs in and create user interfaces in real time, which is huge. AWS does this for football. I don't know if there's any football fans out there. It's AWS stats powered by AWS. Well, it will be the same with us. We run on their drone footage. We run on their race lineup footage. It says powered by Flux. These are all things. This is a use case, a baseline use case of how we can do this, and then extrapolate this outside of us. So it's a perfect scenario. And you could see in the future, as we get these lab projects start to form and build and develop, you could see us taking percentage ownerships as a community in those particular projects that end up going back to PNR. I have a shit ton of cool ideas that will be in that XDAO proposal. We definitely need to get approval from the community to do some of these things because they do look different than the way we've done them in the past. But I think it's the easiest way for us to take exposure to projects that are in infancy without necessarily taking a shit ton of risk. So cool things like that. The website is paposse, POSSE.tv. Let me make sure. Paposse. Or you can do the Run on Flux one. It's paposse.runonflux.io. You can do that one as well. paposse.tv. Yeah, there you go. And if you go down to the bottom down there, at the very bottom, it says PA Posse, all rights reserved, powered by Flux. So website runs on Flux, backend runs on Flux. I think the only thing that is not running on Flux at this particular point in time is a payment mechanism. So how they pay for the pay-per-view services. And we could definitely see us, now that we have this packaged up, rolling this out to other platforms. Karate, Combat could use this. I mean, the list goes on and on. MX racers, open wheel racers. We're using racing because I know that. You know what I mean? I knew that if I was going to be able to really showcase this, I had to take something that would be every day that people use and make it tie back to Flux. This is a perfect fucking thing to do, right? These are not tech people. The average age of, viewing sprint cars is like 60, right? But it's got number one fastest growing motorsport in the world. It's in East Coast, West Coast, middle of the road. And then it's big in Australia, New Zealand, and it's continuing to grow across the board. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend getting one of the races, paposse.com.tv races, and check it out and see what we're doing with them and give us feedback, which would be really cool. So, if you see something on there that could be better, you guys are the ones that are going to give input on that. Like I said, the demographic for that environment is a bit on the older side, my age-ish. So bottom line is we want to make it very simplistic and easy to use. And that's why this was a perfect target for us to do that with. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. I'll even drop the press release later today so everybody can read about it and can see what we're doing. But we're gonna definitely be in Oklahoma. Hell yes. We're going to a race there. I want to say the end of the year in Oklahoma. So that's where I'm spending my PTO this year is is going around racetrack to racetrack. So I'm having some fun with that as well. The cool thing about my job is I can do my work anywhere. So it's kind of fun to travel with the team a little bit and see what they're doing. Somebody said, yes, please. We want to know about this. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is I wanted to bring this up today because I still think there's a lot of people that don't know necessarily where Flux penetrates. And what I'm showcasing is it can penetrate any market. If you can get a 100-year-old sport who has had very little technology footprint for the past 100 years, right? And now all of a sudden they're doing their own live streaming and they're running their analytics on FluxAI. They're doing this, they're doing that. That's a big fucking deal. And that's a great showcase to be able to present to other customers and say, look, if we can do it for these guys who, for all intents and purposes, should not be anywhere near technology, we can do it for you. So I think this is a really good way for us to really champion what we're doing long term. And I will tell you, those talks don't stop there. We already have 2 or 3 other folks, one of them much larger than Sprint Card Racing, that want to do the same thing. They want to do pay-per-views for all events. Right now, the way that it works with a lot of these series is either Speed Channel covered, FS1, or other platforms. But the other thing is because we are we took over as like one of their primary sponsors for the new PA Posse TV. We get advertisement. So we'll be on the Speed Channel. We'll be on FS1. We're going to get, there's Knoxville Nationals, which are happening this weekend. They'll be televised. So we get a lot of benefit from this thing, more than people probably imagine. And I'm real happy with it. So anyway, long story short, I don't want to bore you guys with that, but I think it was important to showcase that we're not just thinking of the Fortune 500 companies. We're thinking of the companies that have a problem that needs a solution, and that's who we're going to. And I think this was a cool way to showcase it. Yes, we are making moves. I mean, anybody that thinks that we're sitting on our hands needs their heads checked. Just go look at the GitHub repository. It's insane. All right, that's all the questions. I'll give it like 1 more minute. If anybody has anything else to ask, we got a bunch of people watching, so throw it out there. And I ask that once this is over, please share it, comment on it, tweet about it, all that kind of good stuff. I think it's Tulsa. I think it's wherever the Outlaws go. That's where we're going. When will we achieve financial stability? Depends on your definition. Can you clarify a little bit more? Are you talking to financial stability for the project? Or are you talking financial stability, the pricing? Because we don't have any input on the pricing. I think we're pretty financially stable right now as we sit because we've built a really rock solid community project, Could Flux be $1 and I'd be way happier? Hell yeah. And I'd be a liar if I told you any different. We all want it to appreciate. And this gentleman right here made a good comment. He said, good time to accumulate. All the people that I saw bitching and complaining when Flux was $2.50, they couldn't afford a node. I don't want to fucking hear it. When we go back up, I don't want to hear no bitching about, you had the opportunity at 4.5 cents. Not investment advice. I don't give investment advice. You invest what you want when you want. Run a front to back for an ASIC management software on Flux and really running a front. You're running a front to back for ASIC management on Flux? Is that what you're saying? Because if you are, I want to see it. Is that what you're saying? That you're running it, that you build it? Scaling quietly. Hey, hit us up. I'll work with you. That's one of my That was one of my wish list things. I wanted to be able to have a single pane of glass for ASICs and GPUs. So, I mean, that would be fucking cool. We could work with you. That sounds to me like a foundation project right there. So hit me up, sidebar, send me a friend's request, or tell me to friend request you. Any project on the African project? Yeah, we're still kind of in limbo with them. We signed all the paperwork. The deal is done. We've built them a few things already, and we're going to continue to keep developing with them. Now, keep in mind, we're dealing with Africa here. So the timelines aren't going to be like you're working in the States. They're going to be extended. So this is more of a manual. Really was working on this, and we're working with them directly. It's called Dunde Mutunde, provider for compute resources in Africa, and we were picked as the primary AI provider. So we should be in pretty good shape with that moving forward. There'll be more news about that coming up. He's running front end and back end. Hey, when you're ready to demo, dude, I'm all about that life. Yeah, get that off Hetzner. Don't do that. We'll help you. All right. If anybody else doesn't have anything else, then I'm going to wrap it up. We actually made it 1 hour, which usually I'm rambling on for 2. So, which is kind of cool. I'm going to do these AMAs starting probably this AMA. We're going to do something either bi-weekly or monthly. So we'll try it monthly to start. If that's not enough and people are like, hey, we could really use a bi-weekly update, then we'll do it bi-weekly. One of the other things we're going to do is office hours inside of Discord. So if you have a question of anything, which you're going to get answered now. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody go into Discord and ask a question not to get an answer. But if you want one of the core members, we'll be there. We kind of split time the way it goes. I'm day shift with Jeremy. Vulture's a little bit more. He starts before us, and then today it's just more night shifters for me. So you'll constantly get one of us in chat. So maybe I'll make like I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I want you guys to be able to get answers when you have questions immediately. The only problem is adoption. We can solve that. Flux will be successful. Nothing has an infinite supply. KDA went bankrupt because it wasn't adopted. KDA's in better shape than they were with those guys. Frankly, I thought, between me, you, and the fence posts, I thought those guys were all fucking assholes for what they did. They could have done it like us, and they chose not to. So fuck them. Fuck Stu and fuck Will and fuck all of them. I don't like what they did to the community. I don't like what they did to the developers. I don't like what they did to the team. It was shitty. And we were saddled with the same problems that they were. The difference is we give a fuck. And we took care of the people as we had to scale down. And now we're at a level that we can maintain. And this project never suffered in the long run. Of course, the price sucks and everybody in crypto sucks right now. But we made sure the community was taken care of. So, I think KDA is better than they were 6 months ago, personally. And I'm not saying buy it or anything like that. Do your own research, But I think the guys that took that over actually give a fuck about the project. And I think what they're doing with some of their quantum resistance and things like that, I think is going to be valuable in the long run. So, I don't tell anybody to buy anything or invest in anything, but I do think KDA is better shape than it was. As far as Flux being successful, we will be successful. There's no fucking doubt about it. It's just how fast that happens. Is it, option 1 where it's attrition, or is it option 2 where it's necessity? New York just came out and said they're banning all AI data center development in New York. Okay, that fucking bodes well for us. And you're going to see more states do that in the U.S., which is great because we don't require data centers. So thanks for doing that. We appreciate it. And I think those are kind of interesting scenarios. Every time I've went down to the Hill, it's the same thing. They don't know what Flux is. And when you tell them what it is, they realize how big of an impact. And I actually had a state senator tell me that this may be the single biggest impact on blockchain since Bitcoin. And he knows crypto, and he knew Flux, which was kind of cool. And I run into more people pretty much daily that, not daily, but quite often, that they know Flux. I just had a guy the other day that, you know, was picking my car up or something, and he's like, "Man, you look familiar." And I'm like, "Oh yeah?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "What? Are you in crypto?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm in blockchain. I'm not in crypto, but yes." He goes, "Oh my God, it's Dan Keller." And so we spent 45 minutes talking about his road and how he came to Flux. So he knows who he is. Big shout out to him. You know, it was kind of cool to hear somebody else's experience and how they grew through the process and how they feel about the project now, which is excitement. So we're doing something right. If it's in the middle of getting your teeth kicked in and you're still excited about it. So I think we just keep doing what we're doing, keep working and developing, work more with the community. You guys need to be more involved with us as we grow this out. And in the end, we win. You know, first they laugh at you and then they fight you, then you win. And that's exactly where we're at. I think we're at the they will fight you stage right now. I think they laughed at Flux at the beginning. You know, they didn't feel like it could be a legitimate thing. And now they know it is. And now it's more of a fight that's coming. And the fight is going to be real. Like I'm telling you right now, you know, we've had lawsuits, we've had, you know, arguments and fights that have come out of this. We're in the battle. And this is where shit gets real. So our job as a community is to stick together, work together, and then come out the other side of this stronger than ever. And, you know, we'll deliver our promise that we set out at the beginning of all this to provide a secure, decentralized, private infrastructure, not controlled by the evil empires. So with that being said, I am very happy with where we're at, and we're going to keep going. So if we didn't get your question or I missed it because I'm a big dum-dum, just post it into Discord, and I'll make sure I take care of it for you. So thank you again for coming. And Betty, do you have the music to play us out?
Oh, why do they lie? Yeah. There's only one way to go, and that's Web 3.0. Don't be evil, Flux freeing all the people, fluxing on them now like a cheat code. Flux gon' keep you from a breach though. And you know we Web 3.0. Don't be evil, Flux freeing all the people, fluxing on them now like a cheat code. Flux gon' keep you from a breach though. And you know we Web 3.0. I know we fighting these corporate tyrants. They try to silence, but we can see they tried to censor our speech. They want no privacy. At night I can't sleep, cause my data, they gonna breach. Don't be evil, Flux freeing all the people, fluxing on them now like a cheat code. Flux gon' keep you from a breach though. And you know we Web 3.0. Don't be evil, Flux freeing all my people, fluxing on them now like a cheat code. Flux gon' keep you from a breach though. And you know we Web 3.0. And you know we Web 3.0. And you know we Web 3.0.